Butler. I am Chief of Staff to Alderman Sylvia King. Alderman King will be joining us in a moment. The meeting this evening is regarding 4137 South Cottage. The new private development is happening near 41st and Cottage Grove. We have the project team with us today to discuss that project, and they're also responsible for an upcoming project at 930 East 43rd Street. So we know we have a lot of questions for the developer. We want them to go through, introduce themselves, go through the presentation of the project sites and what they plan for the community. Then after that, we will engage in questions and answers. We know there's a lot of concerns about the development. And anytime we have these kind of development, we try our best to make sure we get them in front of the community. And thanks to your interest in this project, the developer agreed to present this project to the community. And we encourage people to get involved in the Fourth Ward Advisory Councils. The Fourth Ward Advisory Councils have been devised to provide the community a way to engage us and engage developers on the variety of issues. But not just development, we also focus on arts and parks, infrastructure, schools, development, economic development, and public safety. We'll provide more information about what that looks like for the Fourth Ward. Hopefully you sign up for our newsletter. If not, let us know. You can sign up by reaching out to us at ward04@cityofchicago.org, and that is WARD04 at cityofchicago.org. We do a weekly newsletter so you can be informed about the different activities we have taking place in the Fourth Ward as a community. As I mentioned, advisory councils are an important step. We want to make sure that the community is involved in the process for development.
This is my
The advisory councils for the area that this project is in the Grand Boulevard and also North Kenwood Oakland boundaries. We will have representatives from both of those advisory councils on the call tonight. The representative or the leader of the committee for development for Grand Boulevard is Mr. David Kelly. And then for the North Kenwood Oakland area, the committee chair is Ms. Donna Feaster. Without any further ado, I want to make sure we get towards the introductions of the development team. So with that, I'm going to share my screen so I can make sure the development is in front and center. All right, hold on a second. All right, can everyone see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So this is the overall agenda for the meeting tonight. Pretty short, straight to the point. Let's get through the presentations, and then let's get to the questions. But for now, I would like the project team to introduce themselves for 4137 South Cottage Grove. And I will stop sharing my screen just for a second. I don't know if the project team can show their video so they can be introduced to the community.
When you say video, you want to show our faces, correct?
That's correct.
It seems like you have, it says you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it. You disabled it. So we can't show who we are.
Let me go ahead and give you that ability.
Okay. It's still disabled, I guess.
You should be able to share your screen right now. But for the moment, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and I'm going to share the screen again. And Ms. Pilot, introduce yourself and then
Sure,
introduce your
absolutely.
team, okay?
Absolutely. So my name is Lisa Pilot. I've been in this area for about 22, 23 years. I too am a developer as well. However, I'm the project consultant on the projects that we're presenting today. I have Marcin, who is the developer, who is on the call as well as the architect. Is the architect on the call?
Yes, I am.
Hi, how are you? Okay, great. Right. So you can introduce yourself, Marcin. Marcin is on the call as well.
My name is Martin Oki. I'm developer. My company name is DON Properties Investment. I'm very active in this area since 3 years. We recently finished at least 3 projects in the area. We start Cottage Grow like 2 weeks ago. What else? Any questions?
Actually, let's go through the project. So Lisa, I'm going to show the picture of the project at 4137 South Cottage Grove.
Mhm.
Can you give us an overview of the project?
Absolutely. And this is where the architect can actually speak on this as well. But this is the front rendering of what the building is going to look like.
That's
It's-
right. That's
Go
right.
ahead.
Also rendering for the back elevation. I'm not sure if you have it.
Right,
I
but
do
let's,
have that. I do have that.
we have it as well. We have everything that you submitted so that
Sure.
we could show it to the community. So this is the front rendering of it, and you can explain how many units, what the brick is going to look like, et cetera, please.
Okay, so the building contains 2 commercial spaces on the first floor, plus garage on the first floor for I have to check it, but all total parking is 50. So it's 1 parking for each unit plus 1 parking for each commercial space. And partially the parkings are located on the back, on the rear yard. On the top floors, we have altogether 48 units.
Okay, 48 units. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Hold on, because I just
All right. And we're going to move to the rear.
Well, I think it's important. I'm sorry, Prentice, if I could state this as well. I
Sure,
think
go
it's important that, Andy, you speak about there are 2 commercial spaces, but it's 6,000 square feet. So really the entrances show where you can really cut it up to 4 commercial spaces. So I think I needed to note that.
I understand.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to show the rear of the building. Can you talk about parking? How much parking is designated for this building?
For this building, I mean, inside altogether is 50. And I will have to check how many is inside. I don't remember the numbers, but I'll check it very quick, okay? Let me see, because I just okay, so there's 27 spaces inside of the building, and the rest of it, which is 23, it's outside. There's also loading space. And yeah, pretty much also, we had to comply with all zoning requirements. So there are also like bicycle stations, accessible parking. And that's all about it. Yep.
Okay. We have some questions in the chat right now. I do want to make sure we get to it before the end of the presentation.
Mhm.
Is this a mixed income development or is this market rate housing? Can you please explain that?
So I would say it's market, it's kind of both. So basically, I think that the question would be, is it affordable housing as well, right? And I believe we are and do have some units set out for affordable housing.
Okay, when you say affordable housing, what are the rents looking? What are you asking for the rents do you think in the future?
So Marcin, that's where you're going to come in and have that conversation.
Why market is right now? So we're not sure,
Can't hear you too well, Marcin. Kind of speak up a little bit.
I can't seem to, maybe your scissors or something.
Are you there, Marcin?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So the rents are going for what? 2 bedrooms usually go for $1,250 to $1,350 in the area now.
We're not sure about, we didn't start marketing right now, so I don't know exactly how much we're expecting for
I'm trying to see where the questions are. Where are the questions?
The questions are.
Okay, she ain't shit.
I can see it.
I'm sorry, at this
Okay,
point,
okay.
you should know. You click yeah, boo boo.
Okay, so hold on a second. So no TIF or public funds are being used for this project, Ms. Holden.
No TIF funds.
Okay, just
Nothing.
make sure people know that no public
Mhm.
funds are being used for this project.
No
It's
public,
completely
no.
private.
Yes.
All right.
Janice, I'm sorry, Prentice. Janice Gibson asked, where is the entrance and exit to the parking? Andy, respond, please.
Okay, so we have entrance, we have a front entrance and two exits on a side, on a short elevations on both sides of the building.
So is that
The main entrance in the front and two additional entrances on the sides.
I understand, but did you state the street?
The street. Okay,
Yes.
so the main entrance is from the Cottage Grove Avenue, and two additional entrances are from 42nd Street and East Bowen Avenue.
Okay. So folks, hold on. Let's wait till we are done with both presentations. Then let's get to all the questions. And I know we have a lot to talk about. So just give me a moment to go through rest. Did you all finish your presentation and your information about this building?
Pretty much.
Okay, so I want to go to the next project. This is the floor plan, actually, before we get to the next project. This is the floor plan for 4137 South Cottage. So if I'm looking at this correct, on the north portion of the screen, is this the garage area that
Yes.
we saw in the back?
Exactly. That's the garage area. In the front, it's a commercial space. Mhm.
I see. And then the south portion shows the housing, the layout, the floor plan.
Yes, that's the typical layout for all three dwelling unit floors.
Okay, and what is the unit mix you have in this property?
We have. Let me check with the schedule.
We have a 1 bedroom, 2 beds.
Yeah, 1 bedroom, 10 units. It's a 1 bedroom unit. The rest of it, it's 2 bedrooms.
I see.
Some of them, all of them are accessible type B, and some of them are accessible type A.
Okay. I understand. And could you hold on? Just yes, I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat. We're gonna try to get to all the questions in the Q&A, so please be patient. We'll get to that in just a moment. Quickly, let's go over this next project on 43rd Street so people can understand this is another project you're scheduled to work on in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So this is 920 East 43rd Street. Can someone please give me the overview about what this project is?
Okay, so it's a 4-story building, and similar to the other project, we have commercial spaces in the front.
How much commercial space can be put in the area? It makes no sense.
I'm sorry, can we save comments and can you mute yourself until the presentation is done?
Okay, so we have commercial space on the first floor and garage area on the back, plus outside parking spaces. And on the dwelling floors, which is floor number 2, 3, and 4, we have 33 units. And similar to the other project, we have 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms units. We got also 3 bedrooms units. Yep. And
when do you anticipate you'll begin construction on this project?
Say it again, I didn't hear you.
When do you anticipate you'll begin construction on this project?
Oh, we are in the process of permit. We just expecting this very soon, so it's a question of days, and probably we'll start it as soon as possible.
I understand.
Everything is approved. We're just waiting for there's just like a paperwork that left in regards to landscaping and that's all.
And just so we have clarity on this issue, how long have you all had these properties in your possession?
I don't know. I need to
That's
ask the office.
Merson. So,
That's-
41st, you've had it what, for 4 months, 5 months, something like that for 41st? How long have you had 41st? When did you purchase the lot on Cottage?
No, 8 months maybe.
8 months.
Yeah.
So 8 months for that.
And at the same time, if I remember the same time.
So within the last year, your organization acquired both lots.
Yes, that's
And these lots were acquired through private transactions?
yes, we're using private money, our private money.
Mhm.
I understand. All right, so at this time, I know Alderman King has joined us. And Alderman King, would you like to make a comment before we go into questions and answers?
Sure. Thank you, Prentice, for heading up this presentation for the development. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Sorry, I'm joining you a little bit late. Shout out to former Alderwoman Shirley Newsom. I see her on the line. So yeah, we really seek to try and bring development to the community early on. I know that there are already, it looks like cranes kind of digging on the development on Cottage. And, you know, I just want people to know that both of these are what we call as of right development. I'm sure Mr. Butler has gone over this, meaning they really don't have to come to our office, to the community or anything, because they don't have any consideration from the city. There's nothing that they need from the city. I've asked, and the developer has said, you know, that he would gladly come to the community. This is what we're doing. I didn't know the timing of things. He did come to our office. We had some comments about it, and at that particular point, we asked, you know, that he come to the community. There's been so much going on, not an excuse, but just a lot going on in the country, in the city, and that we've had to respond to. But, you know, we're trying to get back on track in a timely fashion of bringing development in, you know, so that we can share with you in full transparency of what's going on. A number of developments, though, don't seek any consideration from the city at all, meaning they haven't bought the lot from the city. They don't need any zoning changing. It's a private lot. And we still ask all developers, and 99.9% of them comply and say, you know, sure, we'd love to come in front of the community. So today, that is the case where we've got a developer that doesn't have to. This is an as of right development, but I think they learn a lot from you who already live here. And so I hope that your comments and questions will inform the developer about going forward and be helpful to that end, to both the community and the developer. So without further ado, we'll get to questions. Prentice, I see we've got about 79 participants, or we've got about 79 participants. We've got 40 panelists and 39 attendees. Did you explain to everyone how we did that?
No, we did not get to that, Alderman.
Okay, can you do that? Because I don't know where you kind of drew the line.
Sure,
But,
for most of the people, panelists in the meeting, folks, we cordoned off an area of the ward from about 51st to about 39th Street from the lake and to about Ben Sims. all of those people that live within that area, we elevate them in this meeting to be panelists. Panelist means that you have the ability to speak and to engage the developer directly via voice and video to talk about your concerns for the project.
However, attendees can obviously put questions in the chat or in the question and answer section. We will try and get to those as well. The reason we do this is because we don't want this just to be a webinar. We want to get kind of immediate response and questions from you. And so, but we can't field everybody. And so what we've done, although, I think people misinterpret it as we're, kind of picking people. We generally pick a radius or an area right around a development or an issue that we're dealing with. And we try and bring people up live so that they can participate in real time, as opposed to just listening to us and then putting question and answers in the chat. So what I'd like to do is, if you have questions live, we just want you to raise your hands, and then we will call on you in order. Prentice, if you can keep kind of the order in which people raise their hands. We'd like for everybody to show their video to the extent that they can, and that they're decent and full disclosure, so we all know. And then just, say your name and maybe where you live. You don't have to give your address, but it gives context, right? Whether you're live in the area, live in the block, or whether you live, downtown, or whether you live, further south. It gives some context about your question. And so if you have a question, please use the raise your hand function. If you don't know how to use the raise your hand function and you just wave, we'll try and get your name. But what the raise your hand function does, because we have about 40 panelists, and Prentice, why don't you, I see a couple of attendees who have raised their hands. Why don't you raise them, the panelists? But what the raise your hand function does also is it brings you to the forefront so that we can actually see you. But because there's so many people on the Zoom, I think we have about 90 total. It's hard to see everybody at once, right? So I see Miss Phipps has raised her hand. We'll take her first.
Oh, okay, Bird.
And then
All right, Bird.
if you can mute if you're not currently speaking, that would be great. But we'll take Miss Phipps first, and then anyone else who wants to raise their hand and let us know, and then we'll try and take people's names in an orderly fashion and get to you, and hopefully get all your questions answered. Hopefully the folks here will represent the folks who are attendees. But like I said, if people have questions and they're attendees, we'll also try and raise them to the level so that they can also ask questions directly. So Ms. Phipps, go right ahead.
Okay, I've been living in the community about 20 years. I've been living, literally, I'm going to be around the corner from the development.
Okay.
And I just wanted to know, as the development gets built, will it be possible to get a four-way stop on the corner of 41st and Cottage? It's already a pretty treacherous corner because of the traffic, and I feel like the traffic is going to be horrendous post-development.
So that's a question directed at me. That's something we could certainly look at. We have looked at stop signs, throughout the ward, and it's certainly something that we can look at. We like to have CDOT, the Department of Transportation, look at it first. I'll just be honest. They generally do not recommend. This has been an issue, we've come across before, where people say, well, CDOT doesn't recommend it. If it's something intuitive that we see, we will and can introduce an ordinance to put a stop sign. We've done that probably 10 or 15 times over CDOT's recommendations. Quite frankly, they have certain guidelines that they go by that aren't necessarily as intuitive. Like, we put stop signs in front of schools where crosswalks are that they have not recommended. But to your specific question, Ms. Phipps,
Mhm.
we'll take a look. We will always go through CDOT to see what they recommend. And then if it's something that we see that is intuitively, actionable, we will take action on it and put a stop sign.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You got that intersection, Prentice?
I do.
Okay.
Janice Gibson is the next person up.
Okay. Ms. Phipps, were you done?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Gibson?
Hi, yes, the combined boards of Jazz on the Boulevard Community Condo and Row Houses submitted a list of questions to your office, to your assistant Paula on Tuesday.
Okay.
Will we be covering all of those questions? I think they're pretty comprehensive and they represent the questions of the households in our development.
Okay, sure. We can get to those. Prentice, do you have those handy?
I'm ready to go.
We'll get those after we get the live questions. We'll
Okay,
go directly to those. So we're going to try and
fine.
take the live questions. Would you like to ask one or two of them directly, or would you like for us to?
Yeah, I can ask one or two of them. I'd like
Yeah.
to cover all of them, but what
Sure.
type of on-premise manned security will the new building have? Will there be security cameras installed around the property? And could a police camera be installed on Cottage Grove?
Okay, I'll let the developer take the first question, and then the Cottage Grove question is probably towards me, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who's speaking on behalf of the developer?
Marcy.
Okay, Marcin?
So of course, we're going to install all cameras around. Amount cameras, I don't know. I have to, check it out with my contractor. But we're used to on the building like this, we install at least 8 cameras. From the parking spaces, from front, from the side. Access to the building. We have the intercom, so nobody who lives inside. Whoever lives inside, they have a special pad key, building is accessible just for the people living in the building.
So, Mr. Orpek, I'm having a hard time understanding.
As am I, yes, I
Okay,
am.
so let me just a yes or no kind of. I think the question
Cameras will be everywhere.
Okay, thank you. So they will install security cameras. That's what we've heard.
In each direction, yes.
In each
Okay.
direction.
Um,
Ms. Gibson, would you like a follow-up?
Yes, where will the trash in the building be stored?
Good question.
Is it going to be inside, out in the alley? Where will it be stored?
It's Andy, an architect. The trash will be it's located on a back from the alley, on the parking lot.
Yeah. So, Mr. Proplan, can you bring up
Yeah.
while we're looking at that, can you bring up that and then we can discuss that further because that's a good question and a good concern. Will it be enclosed?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay. Can somebody share the screen again and share so we can kind of get a visual? Ms. Gibson, while they're doing that, do you have another question?
Yes, will the building be pet friendly? And if so, will there be a designated area for the pets to be walked?
Okay. Will the building be pet friendly? Do we know that yet?
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, yes. And then the follow-up question was, will there be a designated area? And
As
can
we know
someone-
that there's a dog park right down the street. So,
Ooh.
Right, and
You
there's
know,
a Jazz
and
on the
so,
Boulevard
come
right
on now,
across the street.
we're all I'm a dog lover as well. I don't think we're gonna have big dogs in the building. However, certain sizes will be,
Permitted.
Well,
yeah.
but ideally, when people walk their dogs, they're not going to walk all the way down to Oakwood Boulevard and Ellis to walk their dogs. And because you are so close to Jazz on the Boulevard, and because that is your closest grassy area, we don't want to see an influx of people walking their dogs on our property.
And that's understandable. That's anywhere. And those are, individual responsibilities. I wouldn't say that is a responsibility of any developer, but
No, but
certainly,
it certainly is a consideration when you're making a building pet friendly.
sure. No, I totally understand your question. I live on a corner and there are a lot of people who do not pick up after their dogs, and I have videotaped them, tried to get, so I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
And because this development is going up literally on top of us, some of these questions may seem a bit
Correct.
invasive, but they are so close to us. So every decision that is made about that building is going to affect Jazz on the Boulevard
Correct.
and the
Correct.
surrounding single family
So Miss
homes.
Terry, if you can wait your turn, please. Thank you. Okay, so I listen, I understand your concerns and I think they hear you. But I think what I heard the answer is that it is pet friendly, but there isn't a designated pet space. Is that correct?
There is not.
Okay. Can you guys point to where the garbage is? I don't see it on here. But can we get back to where it will be? And
Andy,
Hold on, I'm trying.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't ready for that.
that's okay. Miss Gibson, were you done?
Yeah,
Well, we have an issue also, and I guess you could address this question, and
Sure.
it harkens back to the trash. Was there any rat abatement done before you began breaking ground? Because once the ground started being broken and construction began, there were literally rats running down the street.
Okay.
And there still are, because there were a lot of rat burrows apparently in that lot. What can be done to step up rat abatement at this point in time? And how are we going to discourage rats for a stored outdoor trash facility for 48 units plus retail?
The rat situation is everywhere. I built a building at 4315 17 Cottage Grove.
Yeah, but
I
we're
live here
talking
too.
about the
Let
rats.
me
here.
let me take a stab at that, Ms. Gibson. So the rat, you're right, breaking ground generally causes those issues. I will have my ward superintendent check that out and make sure that there's the appropriate rat abatement. And
Thank you.
then going forward, that's the same issue. If anybody notices that, that's something that, our ward superintendent has, helped with, making sure that there's rat abatement and making sure, that there's not a rat infestation, which, as you know, is a health issue. And so we will have our ward superintendent come take a look and probably do some rat abatement around the excavation. And then going forward, any development, if you notice that their garbage is overflowing, cans aren't closed, they can be fined for that. Our ward superintendent, Mr. Garrett, is on that all the time. So please reach out to us in that regard if you notice something like that.
I have another question. Will
Sure.
the surrounding area have any input into the type of retail business that's going to go in on the main floor? And what type of retail businesses are you targeting for those spaces?
Yeah, I will let them answer that. I hope they'll work with our QCDC in the area that knows a lot about placement for small businesses and has done
Absolutely.
a
And
wonderful
look for,
job
and look,
with 4400 Grove down the street. But I'll let you guys answer that.
yeah, I would hope that you guys would definitely recommend people who are interested in coming to the area to bring different businesses. That would be wonderful.
So we'll put you in touch with the executive director of QCDC, and then you guys can go from there, but I'm sure she can help with placement of, businesses. They just do a wonderful job. So I
They
think
do.
that would be great to look at that.
Also, in regards to parking and traffic, can the homeowner, well, we talked about permit parking, I think. Can the homeowners on Maryland, Bowen, and 42nd Street get permit parking? The density of the building will make street parking in the area extremely difficult.
Yeah. So yeah, we're not gonna do permit parking. We've talked about that. I think I've seen in the chat a couple times for several reasons. One, people don't agree on it on the same street. There are people in the chat who are saying, that they don't want it and live in the area as well. We also just believe in general, it's a public right, the streets belong to everybody in the city. And then, just as an addition, public permit parking doesn't solve the issue. If there's not enough places to park, there are just not enough places to park. And what we get complaints on the other end is that then people are paying, right? Because it costs money to be able, not to be able to park. And then the last issue is that most people who have asked for permit parking, they don't need it, meaning it's more a privacy issue that they're trying to deal with and not necessarily parking their car. So, there has been a long tradition in the Fourth Ward of no permit parking. However, I will say when I became alderman 5 years ago, that was something that I looked at and that I thought I was going to break tradition with. But after I saw where people wanted permit parking and then where the issues were, meaning where I thought it was needed, generally around retail corridors and things of that nature, it was, the issue of there's no way to solve the parking issue right here. And what will happen is then people will be paying and still having an issue of where to park. And
Right.
so that hope
I
I
agree
know.
with what you're saying, Alderwoman. However, we're talking about the density of 48 units with some households with multiple cars plus guests, plus retail. And so what we're talking about is a very large building in a relatively small space. And Bowen is already impossible to park on. And I'm sure you're familiar, Bowen between Cottage Grove and Drexel is a very narrow street.
Sure. And so how much parking is there and how many units are there?
There is 48 units and we have 50 parking spaces.
Right. So that, and then you have retail to consider and visitors.
Well, the 48 parking spaces is for the units, right?
That's right.
Okay. So,
The only
Yeah.
thing that, I don't mean to jump in about that, but hey there, Janice, how are you? This is Robert
Hi,
Thomas.
Robert. Good
Most,
evening.
most homes in the area have 2 cars per household. A minimum of 2. Usually most have 2 cars. I have 3 and it's crazy. And it's, we're a 2-person household. And I live on, I own a home on Bowen and we also own a home on Oakenwall. And most of our neighbors have at least 3 cars.
yeah.
And we're not even considering guests.
So I guess my response to that would be, I understand. I haven't done a survey on, the average homeowner, how many cars there are, but I totally understand that it's kind of a double-edged sword with density. We've got over 400 vacant lots in the ward. Maybe not quite that many anymore, but a good number of vacant lots. A lot of folks have left the Bronzeville area. They're starting to come back, thankfully. And so, there's that tension between, density, a robust kind of vibrant community, and some of the issues that come with that. And so I totally, I understand where you're coming from. I, the one-on-one parking is something that is by code, that they have to do, but they don't have to do more than that by right. And I do know that there's parking on the street around there. However, I understand your concern. I just know that, we definitely want to increase the density in the area so that we can have more amenities, so that we can have all the things that people are asking about, restaurants and, dry cleaners and things in our neighborhood that we don't have to go outside for. But that will come with increased quality of life nuisances, I would say.
Sure.
And but that's something that, we will try and mitigate to the best of our ability, and do the best we can where that's concerned.
Will you be allowing parking in front of the building between 42nd and Bowen on Cottage Grove?
I think we will, and what we haven't decided, but one of the things we will look at, honestly, especially in front of the retail, is whether we need to have some turnover. And I think that will be a decision we'll have to make when if we get more than a critical mass of retail, and we want to invite visitors into the community to frequent that retail, we may have to bring some metered parking in the beginning, but right away, yes, we will allow parking in front of the building.
And so they're going to be able to enter and exit through the rear of the building in the alley at 42nd Street and Bowen, if I heard the gentleman correctly.
Yeah, we'll go back to that. I want them to show us where the garbage will be and how that will be contained to answer that question, but we can certainly go back. I'm a visual learner, so I need to be able to see it.
So
And
can
there's historic significance to 4141 South Cottage Grove. Are you was anybody aware of that? Is there any way to have a commemorative plaque put? That was the site of Emmett Till's White Men funeral.
Yep.
So people came from all over the country. And it was a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement and quite historic for the Black community.
I think that's something certainly we can visit. We did the same, have a marker in a couple places, one most recently for Ida B. Wells at 47th, at 37th and King Drive, but that's something I'd like to explore. Thank you actually for bringing that up, but I did learn about that historical occurrence there. So thank you, Ms. Gibson.
Thank you.
Mr. Orpik, can you show us, or someone on your team show us where the
okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
It's I'm not sure if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so so here is the trash enclosure. It's accessible from the alley. It's just right here. Here's the alley.
Okay. So there's Bowen on the right.
Yes.
Second on the left.
Exactly.
And then you have a trash enclosure there.
Just right here.
Okay.
And the trash will be removed on a daily basis, probably. So.
Okay.
Should be fine.
Someone saying no garbage should be stored outside.
The garbage can be stored in the underground parking and brought outside on trash day, which would be optimal. That's a very narrow alley as well.
Is that something you guys can explore? I don't know what the.
I mean, according to the building codes and zoning codes, the trash enclosure, it needs to be trash enclosure. It's these are like 6 feet walls. It can be stored outside or inside of the building. It doesn't say that it cannot be outside.
No. That's more of a preference, I think we're saying, and I'm asking, can you explore looking at the garbage inside? Can you perhaps look at a spot inside? I don't know.
To show the garbage detail, it's okay. That's the elevation. It's a masonry wall with the door. It's lockable, and that's the elevation. And this is the floor plan. It's a simple
Yeah.
box.
No, that, I appreciate that. What I'm asking is, can you go back, look at your plans and see if there's a way to store it inside in the garage? That's the question.
Inside of the garage, I would like to think about it because everything is pretty tight inside there. But
That's
Right,
what
yeah,
I'm
we
asking.
we could find additional room for that. It's
Okay. That's what we're asking. I think it's a good point, but can you just let us know, let me know what you find there?
mhm. Okay.
Okay,
All right, I will stop sharing my
okay.
my screen, and I'll think about it. Okay. And
Yeah,
I'll, you know,
another follow-up question by an architect in the community that I respect. They said it's a very small enclosure for the number of units. Um, Can you expound on that?
it's it's approved by the city. There's the codes doesn't say about the size of the trash enclosure, but I said that it will be the trash will be removed, on a
Okay.
daily basis. So so that should solve the problem.
Well, Prentice, can you uh, put Miss Baldwin in touch with them to underscore her concerns? She's a resident, but an architect, so I want her to explore that with them. Just the size of the trash bin. Can you put them in touch?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Any more hands up? I don't see any more, but I see some questions, but if you want to ask them live, Miss Cole, go ahead.
Yes. So I'm curious about who is going to manage this property after it's built. And very candidly, the reason that I care about that is because it seems to me that, you've already broken ground, you have your plan. I'm sure as a community, we'll do the things that we can to make sure that our concerns are addressed. But make no mistake, and I would say this to everybody who's listening to the call, who's managing that property once it's built? I'd like to interact with them. I'm very concerned about the type of retail that's there. All too often when it's in our neighborhood, you make compromises on the type of retail. And that has a negative impact on just how the whole area is viewed and on property value. So who's managing the property after it?
And I'll let them, Miss Cole, I'll let them answer that question, but that's one of the reasons that I've asking them to be in touch with QCDC, who's very in touch with the community's concerns and needs in terms of retail, as am I. But I know also that Ms. Pilot is as well, who lives in the community and is very active and concerned about our community. So that's a huge concern, and I know that we've imparted that information to Mr. Orpik, but I will let them answer for themselves.
Who's going to manage the property after it's built?
Yep.
So it's what I said from the beginning. We didn't start marketing, advertising right now, so we didn't decide it yet.
So you haven't decided the management yet, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we know when that decision will be?
Right company, because we have to hire a company, so.
So maybe that's something that the community can weigh in on, or get good management companies. I know Ms. Pilot, you probably understand.
Oh, absolutely. And I have some other people who I'm looking at as well. I mean, I manage my own as well. And there's some people who Marcin and I are looking at, and we will definitely keep you all informed on who the management company will be.
One quick follow-up question. What's the timing on that? So when is the property supposed to be complete? And when would those decisions be made?
Good question.
We got a plan to finish project completely in 12 months. So spring next year, spring 2022.
Spring of next year, 2022.
Okay.
Do you have specific hours for construction?
We working between 8 and 5.
Between when and when, I'm sorry?
8 and 5.
Between 8 and 5.
8 to 5. Mhm.
Okay. All right. I see some hands up now. Ms. Cole, were you finished?
Yes, yes, I am. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
no problem. So we'll take Ms. Willis, Ms. Jones, Ms. Terry, and then Ms. Hellman. You may have raised your hands in a different order, but that's how I see you, unless Prentice, Mr. Butler can help me there, but that's how I see you.
That's correct, Alderman. You have it.
Okay, Ms. Willis?
Hi, I'm Lisa Willis, and I live in North Kenwood, 45th and Berkeley.
Mhm.
And my concern or my question is about the what kind of visual neighbor this building is going to be. So my question to the developer is, where did you get your design references from, or how do you think that aesthetically this building fits into not only the surrounding neighborhood, but does it hold its own on Cottage Grove? And being a landscape contractor, I am always concerned and often dismayed by the landscaping that goes into these new buildings, whether or not it's residential or commercial. I understand that the city has a landscape ordinance. I would encourage the developer and you, Ms. King, to push these developers to go beyond that ordinance so that the landscapes fit with the scale of the building, that they enhance the streetscape, you know, and that they help to make this community greener. I know that we're always concerned about, you know, things like parking and, you know, those kind of things, but we also need to be concerned as this community gets rebuilt and built up again, that we're doing the right things aesthetically.
No,
We need to push
I
those
appreciate that.
developers.
I appreciate that, Miss Willis. I don't have the, probably that, I know I don't have the acumen or eye that you do, but beautification, landscape beautification is really important. The Drexel Boulevard, you know, that was a priority. I know you could prioritize other things, but to me, the beautification of that, bringing millions of dollars to that boulevard was really important. And I would love to understand from your perspective, you know, your views on a lot of landscaping kind of beautification in the neighborhood. So I would love to talk to you offline and you know, if I were the developer, I'd be trying to talk to you as well. The win-win. You live in the community and you understand the art of and the craft of landscaping. But that's definitely a priority of ours. We think beautification.
The whole block is empty.
If I'm sorry, can somebody mute? If but we think it brings so much, right?
Sure,
Beyond
sure.
you know what the eye gives you, right? It brings safety, it brings people out. People, you know, as you can see, folks on the boulevard, more people are out, they're using it, so it brings safety, brings your property values up, it brings community, it brings so many things. So we believe in that, and I hope the developer does too.
Great. And, you know, I'm always willing to make myself available, you know, just to have conversation with the developer.
That sounds good, Lisa.
You know, to talk about, you know, plant lists and things, but I think we always need to push to go beyond the minimum that the ordinance requires.
I agree. This should be eye-catching and an asset in the community. It not just fit in, but it should uplift the community. I agree with that. So thank you for that. Prentice, who's next?
Ms. Jones?
Okay, Ms. Jones.
Hello. Yeah,
Hi,
thank you.
Jones.
I have actually a couple of quick questions which are related. Can you guys hear me okay?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. So this is to the developer. Just a couple of things, and streetscaping has been mentioned a couple of times, but I just want to make sure that there's a plan to repair all surrounding kind of sidewalks and streets and not really leave the streets torn up after the heavy equipment has been left. So that's one question. And then the last question is there any outdoor streetscape benches, planters, or anything that sort of creates a bit more of a community feel, or is there anything even in the building like rooftop, decks or outdoor spaces? Like what is the community feel of the outdoor spaces? So I think those are two questions.
Merson?
So that's,
Maybe I'll answer this question. It's Andy,
Okay.
an architect. Okay. May I? Hello?
Go ahead.
We hear you.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
hear
So
you.
I want to share the screen with you guys, and we had to comply with the landscaping review in the city. So we had to keep some existing trees by the Cottage Grove Avenue. Also, we'll plant another trees by the street, and also we'll have new trees by the 42nd Street and Bowen Avenue. These are these little circles that you can see, right? Also, we had to plant some interior trees on the property by the parking on the back. And obviously, we'll repair. Yeah, we will repair the sidewalks in the front of the building and the side. I think we're about to be in Jersey though.
the sidewalk will be completely new. After we finish construction, all sidewalks around around the building, also alley will be brand new.
Yeah. And Ms. Jones, I know what you're talking about, and I appreciate you even bringing it up. But after construction, often there are dug up parts of the street, and it then leaves the street in disrepair. We actually have somebody in the city that's supposed to go around and make sure that that doesn't occur. So if you guys ever see that, where you've got trenches dug out and the street has not been repaired to satisfaction, let our office know, because we have folks in the city whose job it is to really look at that. It's hard for us to see everything, so don't hesitate to let us know if you see something like that, because we certainly want it restored to like new status. So please let us know that.
If I can add
Yeah, and
one
I
more.
think the last part is what is the expectation around streetscape? Like, will there be plantings? But when I say plant, I mean planters, not trees. But what really brings what I'll call the luxury or community feel to the building, as opposed to just like there's a flat building and a sidewalk.
Yeah. I think Ms. Pilot wanted to.
Well, what I wanted to mention to the other lady, I don't know if it's the same woman, but there is going to be a rooftop deck on the building up top.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
we have to develop and so we have up to 10,000 square footage rooftop deck, and we want to accommodate it, of course. We have a plan to put a lot of planters there, trees also, benches for people living inside. It's up to 10,000 square footage, so square footage is enormous, enough for everybody.
So if I can recommend, just like we put you in touch with an architect who we've worked with, who lives in the community, if you can also have Miss Willis take a look at what you're doing. She lives in the community and does landscaping, just to kind of give her experience and the fact that she lives in the community an extra eye to an expertise kind of on your landscaping plan, if you don't mind.
Yes.
If she since she volunteered, that would be great. I would love to make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Butler, who's next?
Mrs. Bond?
Good evening, thank you. I have a question for the developer. The residents, the neighboring residents are concerned about their property values decreasing instead of increasing. What was the rationale for them making rental units as opposed to condo units?
It's what I said for beginning. We didn't start marketing yet, so we don't know anything about the prices. What prices we're expecting for any particular unit we're going to rent. So we don't know yet. We can share.
Someone restate what he said, because I can't, it wasn't clear.
I didn't understand you. Let me repeat the question though, because your answer didn't appear to answer it, but she said, you know, why rental versus condos? That I assume you live in a condo or home, but she felt that rentals would bring property value down, not up. So why rentals versus condos?
And one of the things that we talked about when we were doing this project, I'll answer for him, is that the area we have so many condos in the area and not enough rental. So that was one of the reasons why, you know, when we talked, he said, you know, I mean, I was getting calls at least 100 to 200 a day looking for rental and not buying a condo. So when Marcin asked me what I thought about what was needed in the community, I said more rental, more 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, which is why he came up with that.
Hey, I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Who would approve the business licenses that were occupied that retail space?
The city of Chicago, Department of the Business Affair.
Okay, and do we know, or would you know the time frame that there would be hours of operation? Like we really wouldn't want something closing at 2 a.m. in that area.
Oh, right. No. That would definitely never happen. And once again, I don't know if you were on the call earlier, but we are definitely going to be working with QCDC and, you know, arranging everything with whoever the prospective tenant will be. We'll definitely take all of that into consideration.
What's the percentage of affordable housing that's dedicated for the units?
Mr. Thomas, there's a number of folks that have their hands up. If you could just raise your hand and get on the queue. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Were you finished, Ms. Bond, though? I'm sorry.
Yes, I was. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Butler, who's next?
Ms. Solomon?
Okay.
Ms. Sheila Solomon? You're on mute.
I don't see her hand up anymore.
I don't see her either.
Okay, well, if she comes, that's fine, but let's take who's next.
Ms. Hellman? Mr. Hellman?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so I got a couple questions. One, did this go through, is this built as of right, or is this built with a variance?
It's as of right.
It's as of right. Okay, so then materiality doesn't really matter so much. The one thing I did notice is lighting on the facade. I only saw like 2 sconces in one rendering. You know, you got some decorative direct, indirect lighting, but I don't see any street lights. I don't see any poles or signage or anything. Has a light study ever been performed on this building and how it would affect the streetscape and the sidewalk? And I don't believe, like, you know, 7 or 8 decorative sconces is going to actually light the sidewalk at all.
Are you recommending that we put more?
Well, I'm wondering if a study has ever been performed, if like a lighting consultant was ever brought in to test lumen output and to see if that streetscape's actually lit up at all. It looks like it would be complete darkness at night.
Well, that I guess.
Okay, so
Andy?
I'll answer it, Sandy. This rendering that you can see is just a general rendering to see the size of the building and general idea. There is no details like sconces on the walls, but we will add it as much as we can, which is so.
Is a lighting study ever going to be contemplated, or is it just going to be kind of throw up some lights and hope it gets 1 foot candle to the egress discharge?
No, probably the whole front elevation will be there will be lots of between the windows. But if we'll think about it, about the. I got something on electrical plans, and actually we didn't know that it will be just an issue, but we can solve it very easy. It's not a big deal.
Okay, I'm just wondering if like an actual study will be performed. It sounds like no. The second question I have is, looking at the renderings, the expansion joint lengths are, it's for rendering purposes only. What's the final material selected? Is it fiber cement panels, or is it some metallic panels, or what types of panels do you contemplate for the building facade?
Okay, so on the bottom we have limestone, then it's a brick, Chicago common brick, kind of reddish, and then on the top there will be hardy panels. It's the fiber cement paneling.
Okay. Well, okay. So, and like when I was looking at your
Mr. Hellman,
yeah.
We've asked people to show their video, so out of respect for everyone, if you can as well, that would be great.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I was kind of driving.
We want you to be safe though. So
no, it's fine. So the other question is like about this. As far as finished material, if it's hardy panels, do you plan on that being like planked panels, or do you actually see that as being like, because I see the expansion joints are kind of exaggerated in your rendering. If you put in shiplap or something in there, do you feel like it's going to contradict the neighborhood feel, or what was your like kind of thought on how those fiber cement panels would work?
What are you saying? Shiplap siding? There's no siding. It's a paneling. It's a kind of contemporary looking paneling.
Okay, so you're planning on putting like 4x8 shiplap up, or not shiplap. You're planning on putting hardy like 4x8s up there and like cutting them down to size.
Exactly. Yes, okay. But these are not 4x8 panelings. They'll be just different kind of sizes, kind of.
Right. Well, I mean, and this is the question the question really was, if fiber cement, you could have gone with Nichi-Ha, and a lot of people show renderings and they end up being like, Nichi-Ha has very smaller panels, and then it saves a couple bucks, and then all of a sudden you have a shiplap. It looks like a cheap, suburban, residential, whatever out, and it doesn't really fit with it. But you're planning on large panels by Hardy, which is, it's a good solution. It just didn't come through in your rendering. But anyways, I'd still hope you guys would do a lighting study, because I don't know if really, the proposed plan really would be enough lighting, and I just hope that a real study is engaged and hopefully talk with the alderman and other neighborhood communities to make sure that there's enough lighting for safety concerns and other things like that within the community.
Yeah, that's
thank you.
A good point. Lighting promotes safety, so we want to make sure that it's not only lit, but and lit well and elegantly, but also safe. So
thank you very much. We'll take that into consideration and do that.
That's
something we should consider. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hellman. Mr. Butler, who do we have next?
Ms. Newsom, did you check down your hand? Did you still want to ask a question?
I was going to state that QCDC is represented on the line, I believe our ED as well as our architect are represented on the call.
Oh, is Miss McFarland here? I did not see her, but that's great. And of
Anthony
course,
Rogers is on.
okay. So we QCDC is in the house, and of course, you're the chair, Miss Newsom. So, or Alderwoman Newsom, I should say. So thank you for joining us. But like I said earlier, great asset in the community, has done a great job bringing retail, especially community retail, to our community. And I would like to allow them to share some of the folks who are going to be down the street at 4400 Grove. Ms. McFarland, if you can take a second and just share kind of the retailers that are coming down the street.
Alderman King, she's on a device that doesn't allow her to chat.
Do you know Mr. Rogers?
Oh, I sure do. That's not
Okay.
a problem at all. We put information in the chat as well.
Oh, okay.
As to how you can communicate with Quad Communities Development Corporation. But anyway, down the street, we've got 16,000 square feet of commercial space. The tenants that are coming, as a lot of you have seen publicized, Bronzeville Winery is coming, Reggio's Pizza is coming, Haji Healing Salon recently opened. She's a yoga studio and a wellness gallery. CBQ Beauty Bar is coming. Ocean City Aquarium will be there. And Sarah Kenyufu Collection, which is a women's clothing store, is opening there as well. We expect that most of the tenants will probably be open sometime in July and August. As you go down the street, I'm sure you all will see that the windows are papered up or as such, and they're in various stages of construction. But this was something that we worked with that developer on early part of last year and the end of 2019 to help pull together the type of tenants that we have. So we think that it's going to be definitely a great asset to the community. So we look forward to all that new retail coming.
No, we do too. So thank you so much for that, and look forward to QCDC working with this developer as well to fill out this retail. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, we'd be glad to help.
Mr. Butler, who do we have next?
Ms. Terry has been waiting patiently.
Okay, Ms. Terry.
Hello, hi everyone. A lot of my questions have already been answered through Miss Gibson and Miss Bond, as we all reside here on Jazz on the Boulevard. My question is, and I hope that this is not a silly question, but it is a concern for my household. Is there a way other than parking somewhere else to control the dust that's being generated and accumulated? I mean, our cars, they're pretty filthy. And I just wonder about that spread. That's one question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that's impacted other residents in other places as well. Can you guys speak to that? I know they have the tarp up, right? Although I passed by once, it had gotten blown over, so I want to make sure that that stays. Is there a way to contain the dust?
My only recommendation, even when I did 431517, the fire department was wonderful and helped me. I would hose down the area. I don't know how we can figure that out, but that was one of the things that I did to prevent the dust from flying everywhere. That we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah. You don't have water. You don't have water yet. I take it.
Right. And I don't think there's a fire hydrant there because I use the fire hydrant.
Yeah, no.
There's not.
It's one on Bowen. It's one on Bowen. Yeah, it's one. Yep. Okay. And
well, it's something we would consider, and we'll try to work it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Once we get off this call, I'll definitely debrief with him and go over that. and see
Okay.
what we can do to fix it. But we apologize, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
one other point, because I'm advocating for permit parking, and someone mentioned on the chat, and I just wanted to resurface part of that participant's comment, which is, let's not forget about the church that is directly across the street that has multiple activities that go on that impact us here on Bowen Avenue. So when you have the church activities, this new development, and residents, owners of Jazz on the Boulevard with 2-3 car families, it's going to be very tight. I just wanted to mention that, to add. And then my last point was, can the developers talk about the amenities that are going to be in the building? And, if in fact Jazz on the Boulevard could have some kind of special right to their workout facility.
That's a good one, isn't it?
That would be awesome.
That was slick and clever.
That was a real slick one there. I like that.
Good. And the alderman, can she work out too? No.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
all you all right. And the alderwoman can come over too. Yep.
That is something that we should consider. Maybe what we should consider is something in the commercial space. Maybe somebody could create some type of like orange therapy would consider coming over here. I could approach them. Then we all can work out there, right?
Right, right.
So,
Exactly.
but that's something that, thank you very much. I don't know who, was that you, Janice, Miss Gibson?
No, that's Miss Terry.
Miss Terry, I'm sorry, Miss Terry. Thank you so much. I will definitely look into that. That would be great to have orange therapy or some other physical. I don't know. We'll take it again. Something,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
We'll take it into
And then
consideration.
But can you
thank
talk about the amenities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Merson, Andy.
He left a while ago.
Andy left?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't, but I
Oh.
don't know how to answer that question,
So the amenities, is there a workout facility in the building? Is it, any of that?
Well, you named the rooftop deck, so that's
Right.
one.
Yeah,
that's one.
Right.
Anything
There
else?
will be future rooftop deck, but that will be for the tenants probably only,
Oh,
because
mhm.
building won't be accessible. It's a rooftop deck, right? So
Okay.
Yeah. No, they're talking about for the tenants. I mean, they're trying to get in on it too, but they're talking about the amenities for the tenants.
Exactly.
That was great, Miss Terry.
Thank you.
Of course.
So the rooftop deck is the only amenity, so there won't be a workout room or anything. It's right now it's a rooftop deck. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Miss Terry, anything else?
Just one last point. I don't even know if it's a question. I can't even think anymore. The entrance on Bowen. I mean, Bowen from Cottage Grove to Drexel, just that piece of Bowen, which is where the development is. To have an entrance there, it's gonna be really interesting, because I would assume that that's gonna cut into parking spaces that are there now.
And may I add to what you're saying, Miss Terry, that Bowen is very narrow at that point, and everybody who lives in Jazz and parks behind Jazz has to exit onto Bowen.
That is correct.
So everybody has to go out that is parked in our owner parking on Bowen.
Right.
Any response to that? So it's there's exits on each side.
Yes, but is it a question about an exit from the building or exit from the parking?
From the parking, I think is I understand. Yeah.
So we're using the existing alley that goes from Bowen to 42, and that we we use it this for the exit from the parking.
Okay, so the exit, the entrance and exit is not going to be on Bowen. It's the alley that they will
Yeah,
be
it's the
entering. Oh,
alley. Yes,
oh,
yes.
okay, that's what I was confused on, because I thought I had heard earlier that there was going to be an entrance exit on Bowen.
No, there's no additional exit from the parking except that
Okay.
existing alley.
Got it. Okay.
Good clarification. Any additional question, Ms. Terry?
Nope, that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Terry.
Thanks.
Mr.
Thank you.
Butler, who do we have next?
We have Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, thank you for being patient, Mr. Thomas.
No problem. So I wanted to know what percentage of the rentals are designated to affordable housing?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in for a second. So they don't have to do any affordable housing. This is an as of right property. They don't have to do any. I did hear that they want to do some, so I'll let them speak to that as well. So there's no designation, just from a city standpoint, just to clarify.
Mhm. So I'm gonna leave it to Marcin. Marcin, so we were talking about that. We're trying to decide how many.
How many
are going to be-
units total? I'm sorry, Ms. Pilot. How many
No, that's
units
okay.
total?
48.
Okay.
So can you answer, because, you know, we honestly, we didn't decide it. You know, we don't know. We want to do something, but, you know, we don't know exactly how many units.
Yeah. So
At this time,
if they were to have, you know, some city consideration, they would have to have 10%, which
10%.
would be, you know, 4 or 5 units on there. So it would be nice. I know you don't have to do that, but it would be nice if you could at least consider something like that.
Of course.
We do, you know, we have affordable units down the street, 4400 Grove. But, you know, affordable units, it's a misnomer. You know, everybody thinks it means, you know, there's all this subsidy, but the reality, you know, affordable units are generally not too far behind the market rate units, and allow, you know, our teachers, our first responders, our essential workers to be able to live in our communities. And so, you know, I think we need to rethink that name. It's carries such a negative connotation, but in all honesty, it really just provides for a very diverse and robust community of working people. And so just want you to just remember that. Yeah.
Okay, I
Mr.
have another
Thomas, did you
question.
have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. Will the management for the property be on site? Will they have an on-site management?
No, we're trying to work that out right now. We will definitely let you know. It's definitely going to be a management company, probably not on site. Okay, but we will definitely let you know that.
Yeah.
The community, not just you, the whole community will know.
I mean,
who the management company is.
I'm old school, but I remember, you know, in the day where, you know, the property manager had a little, you know, was apartment, part of the apartment. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we should, you know, we should bring that back. You know, I don't
Yeah.
want to date
I
myself.
concur.
But
And a lot of people do that. You're
yeah.
absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can consider, you know.
All right. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Thomas, were you done? I saw you move and now I lost you, but were you finished, Mr. Thomas?
Yeah, that's it. Those most of the other questions were answered by Janice and Wendy.
Okay. Thank you. Who's next, Mr. Butler?
Ms. Gibson is next, but she's already had the first right for the first question. Can we get
Yeah, let's go to a couple, then we'll circle back to you, Ms. Gibson, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
Ms. Dia Thompson Phillips is next.
Okay.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here. I represent the residents who own homes on 41st Bowen and 42nd Street. And so my question is related to kind of what Ms. Jones was alluding to. is what are the specific aspects of the building that make it luxury? I think a great example of what I think about when I walk down Drexel is the units that are going up. And you can tell by looking at it that those are luxury units. So I'm just curious, yeah, I'm just curious to know, can you just tell us, like, from an architectural standpoint, like what's comparative to other buildings like yours and other cities, I mean, other neighborhoods that make it luxury? Yeah, so I think a lot of people have, stated in the comments that the rendering doesn't necessarily do a great job. It's a rendering of demonstrating kind of the beauty of the luxury building.
Maybe I'm answer for this. Let's say we're using hardwood floors, we're using custom kitchens, we're using stainless steel appliances. We provide a lot outdoor spaces for our tenants, like what I said, up to 10,000 square footage decks. Every unit has a separate laundry room, so that's important too. So that's and details, a lot of details. Very specific with details.
Excuse me, I apologize. Alderman King, would you be able to maybe paraphrase what Marston Orpik said?
Yeah, and I'll allow Ms. Pilot too, but I heard a couple of things that he would say defines, some luxury. Hardwood floors, stainless steel appliances, washer and dryer on site. Did I miss some, Ms.
Nope,
Pilot?
you got it. Nope, you got it right on the head. And I think that's it. And obviously the rooftop deck as well. But we will definitely have a unit available for those who will be interested in seeing it. We would not have a problem with that,
And it would be nice to see some
A
of
model unit.
like or just maybe kind of a mock-up of some of the finishes and things. Yeah,
Not a problem. Absolutely.
that would be great.
We welcome that.
Have you done another luxury building in another neighborhood that we can look at too? Just curious if this is your first project of this nature.
Are you speaking to me in particular or Marson? Or
The
us as a
developer.
group? Okay.
No, yeah, as a group, that sounds fine.
So 431517 is what I did. It's the prettiest building on Cottage Grove, actually. I mirrored it after a building in Lincoln Park, and I did it in 2006. Okay. Marson, you can speak on the other developments that you've done.
In that community or in others?
43rd.
Yeah, actually we developer with the experience. At that point we're working for several other projects in different areas of Chicago. Let's say we're working up for a lot of single family houses up to 200 apartments. We're working on right now. So we have experience.
So they did the townhomes on 43rd and
what is
and
that?
Drexel, as well as the ones on 43rd and
Langley, that area.
yeah.
Langley.
43rd and Berkeley.
43rd and Berkeley.
Berkeley.
43rd and Langley.
43rd and Forestville. So 43rd Street has pretty much been anything relatively new. I think they've done it. And
Thank you. My last question is.
Those are townhouses, right? They're not apartment buildings, correct?
yeah, those are townhouses.
Okay, I believe I interpreted the analyst's question to be specifically around rental properties, like
Yeah, no, good question. I think Ms. Pilot answered part of that, but I'd be interested in understanding that answer as well, Mr. Orpik. Have you done any large or small scale rental buildings?
Yeah, actually right now, let's say working in Chicago, 5700 Ashland, North Ashland. for 155 apartments. We finished Wrigley Field project, Grace and Sheffield Corner, 50 apartments.
So I'm having trouble hearing you, but I think I heard you said you did 55 apartments where?
I'm sorry, it's something bad with the communication.
No, I apologize. I'm just having a hard time understanding your accent a bit, but you said 55 apartments. Just tell me where.
155 apartments, 5700 North Ashland.
Okay, on 57th and Ashland.
Yes.
You did 150 apartments, it sounds like. Where else?
And right now, Wrigley area, Taps area, Grace and Sheffield. We finishing right now 50 apartments.
Okay, so 50 apartments near Wrigleyville on Sheffield. So, yes.
Thank you, that's helpful. My last question, I think I missed this in the beginning. What are the rents? What's the rent fee? I'm just curious.
So we're in the process of determining what the rents are going to be.
Okay.
As you know, in this area, or maybe you don't, 2 bedrooms kind of go for $1,250 to $1,350.
Okay.
So we're still trying to figure that out right now.
Thank you. I appreciate your responses.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who's next, Mr. Butler?
I think we should go back to, hold on just a second.
I know Ms. Bond is there.
Yes, Ms. Gibson, and I think we're almost.
Oh, right. Ms. Gibson would be first.
Yeah.
Ms. Bond, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we're kind of tag teaming these questions as a board with Ms. Bond and Robert
fine.
Thomas. So we're getting it knocked out.
I see, yeah.
That's fine.
So will there be any plans for daily outdoor maintenance of the grounds surrounding the building?
Good question.
I would have to say yes. Absolutely.
Okay. In the rendering, the building appears close to the street. Will the sidewalk be widened to accommodate the additional foot traffic?
I believe it's a setback, isn't it? Andy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Please answer the question.
So I had to keep the size of the sidewalk the same the way it is right now. It's just because it's also the issue of the landscaping and planting the required trees by the roads, by the streets. So we couldn't make it wider, but the front sidewalk is pretty wide right now, and it will stay the same. Let me check the dimension.
And what's the setback of the building from the sidewalk?
The sidewalk is just by the building, and it's 14 feet wide.
No, what's the setback of the building from the sidewalk? How far back does the building sit off the sidewalk?
And so the answer is 0 because the sidewalk is by the property line. Yep.
So how will that accommodate?
I can share the screen with you again, and I'll show you. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that, but how do you have it with no setback? It seems like you would have to have relief for that.
I mean, the building is built in a property lines, right? And the sidewalk is up to the property line.
Yeah, but there's always setbacks.
We didn't have to do it. So it's pretty wide. It's 14 feet wide.
Yeah, the building foundation looks like it abuts right up to the sidewalk as well as in the rendering. So for 48 units plus the additional retail traffic plus the normal traffic, how is the sidewalk going to accommodate that much additional street traffic?
So your concern is that the sidewalk is too narrow? Because
absolutely, yes. The sidewalk is too narrow.
The existing sidewalk is too narrow?
Yes.
Oh. So that's the size of the existing sidewalk. We just keep this the same dimension. It could be only narrower.
I don't understand. The building on 45th and Cottage Grove is a perfect example of something that has wide sidewalks and plazas, so you don't feel claustrophobic, and it accommodates a great deal of foot traffic. If it's built right up on the sidewalk, how are people going to get down the sidewalk?
The building is not located on the sidewalk. The building is located at the property, at the property line.
Which is no setback from the sidewalk.
No.
Okay.
It
Alderman
looks,
King, at
if
this
I could, just real quickly, it looks like the building has the same setback as the Masons building does. So,
okay.
yeah, so that's the width of the sidewalk. And because it's a mixed use zone, the setback can be right on the property line. So
Okay.
the architect should just be a little clearer about that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
I'm
We don't
glad
have to
you jumped in,
we
Mr.
don't have to
Rogers.
comply
Yeah,
with
I was confused.
Yep. Thank you for that, Mr. Rogers. I was texting Prentice to ask him about the setback. So thank you for the clarification. Yep.
And I have a question from the townhome owners on Drexel Boulevard. They are experiencing a lot of shaking, and they wanted to know who is going to be responsible for any damage done to their foundations as a result of the construction.
I'm sorry, I can answer. The one shaking we can have if we demo the building. We got a vacant lot, so it's no shaking there. So,
Well, they're getting earthquake-like tremors, and they're concerned for cracks in their foundation.
Well, there's no pylons here, are there?
No.
So what? Why would there be shaking?
It's just a typical shallow foundation, and it's the bottom of the foundation is like 4 feet below the existing grade. It's not even deep excavation.
Yeah, I don't know why they would be considering shaking. There should be nothing that would do that. Yeah.
And my last question is to you, Alderwoman King. Is there going to be a cap on rental properties in the area? At what point is too many rentals in the area going to really further erode property value? What is a good mix of rentals and ownership in the area?
Yeah, let me speak to that. So I don't know what the perfect mix is. I've heard eroding property values several times. I assume people would want, something in the neighborhood besides vacant lots. And I think that a quality building, as everybody has been alluding to, is really what we want and what we're going to demand. But I have a difference of opinion there. I think that the building, rental or condo, will only enhance what we have, and I don't think that a vacant lot elevates our community at all, quite frankly. But I hear what you're saying. I think there's a mixture is good, and a kitty corner from 4400 Grove. We have a development there that will be all condo and townhomes, and so I'm very conscious of that mixture. I don't know, I came in 10 minutes late. I apologize again, but I don't know if Mr. Butler shared with you, our advisory councils. There's a North Kenwood Oakland Advisory Council, as well as the Grand Boulevard Advisory Council, and they kind of share a border around this area. But those advisory councils are being briefed on all the development that's going on in the area. And I know we've got a community meeting coming up to share kind of all of the developments that are coming in the area. But Cottage Grove is kind of in, not kind of, but in the Invest Southwest area. I will say that even before Invest Southwest, you had, our former mayors, Alderman Newsom, President Preckwinkle, QCDC, who have planted the seeds, along the Cottage Grove area. But there is lots to come down Cottage Grove, and we are very conscious of the mix. So like I said, kitty corner to the 4400 Grove, there's a lot there that sits on the southeast side of the street. That lot will be all condos and townhomes. And so, we're very conscious of that mixture. Studies do say that the millennials, my kids, they're not buying property. They're not buying property anymore. They are renting. And so the market is responding to that. But I'm very conscious of that. And so I do want you to know, I will ask about kind of a study or a balance if there is some information about that. But I spent a lot of time, the beautification and uplifting of our community is why I got into this business, why I went to the other side, as people might say. And so it's really important to me, and how people build. I've been telling people to, while hardy board, don't get me wrong, hardy board is a very good material. I don't like the siding, the hardy board siding, because it reminds me of when folks used to have the metal siding, and it cheapens the look. But hardy board by itself is a very, very, very good material. It's strong, it's durable. But I've been very, conscientious about what we bring. When we were talking about 4400 Grove, there were a number of things that were presented. That committee, which a number of people here sit on, we talked about the quality of the construction, and so that is really important to me. Like I said, the beautification of Drexel Boulevard is been something that I'm proud of, where people might have said, well, that may not, beautification shouldn't be a priority, but it should be. I mean, it brings so many other good things. So I'm very conscious of that. I don't have any statistical data, so to speak, but I will say that I do think that I wouldn't say not any rental building, but a very good, high quality building will certainly uplift the community with good retail, more so than a vacant lot. And so,
Certainly. Time will tell.
yes,
I would like to bring your attention to all the people in the chat.
Sure.
Who have said that their homes are in fact shaking.
Okay. So I want to understand that. I don't understand why they would shake, just from, you're saying maybe from the digging or something?
I think that's best addressed with the people whose homes are shaking. But there are plenty of people who have said, oh no, my home is shaking.
Mine is trembling. It trembles every time they dig, it trembles.
Well, we can send somebody out from the city to make sure that structurally everything is what it should be. So that's something that we can do, certainly. Yeah. And I know there's some other questions here.
Sorry, can I say
Miss Neptune, I have you. I see you. Don't worry, but yeah, Miss Neptune's next.
Okay. And I see Miss Robinson, and I know Miss Bond has gone, but we'll let her go again as well. Miss Neptune?
Thank you all. Just a question. I haven't really seen it from this construction vendor, but what about hiring from our, people that look like us? And I think that's a huge opportunity for them, for individuals who do want to construct in our communities, is to make sure that there is a level of employment. And I've watched this particular developer, and sometimes they put stuff up to kind of hide, you know what I mean? But I haven't really seen that forthright with this particular construction vendor. And I know brought up in several meetings, and maybe because it's private, but it says a lot to me as someone who lives here, what they
Mhm.
think about us.
So I will let the development team speak to that, but I just want to speak to it. It's, I shouldn't say, because we don't do a good job of saying what we advocate for. We have to do a better job. That is super important to us. And anytime we have a leverage point, meaning, that we can encourage the developer to do so, we will. Again, 4400 Grove down the street, at one point had 87% minority. It was a joint venture between an African American and a majority foreign, I should say a white firm. And so that's super important to us, something that is a priority in terms of policy in our administration. That being said, this is an as of right property. And so he can do whatever he wants to, and it's his property. He can do whatever he wants. But I
However,
will add that
I'm
I've
sorry.
talked to the developer, and he wants to do more development in the area. And he is very conscious that that is a priority for our office to make sure, that people who look like us work and are a pivotal, not a
Mhm.
pivotal, but an important part of our workforce and development. And I know that that's also a priority for Ms. Pilot, but I'll let them speak to
It
that.
is,
And I
it
want
is
to also
definitely.
talk about something else that we're trying to do to make sure that that happens. But go ahead, Ms. Pilot.
I'm sorry. Hi. So yes, that is one of the reasons why I'm on this team. I too have spoken to Marcin, and we are thoroughly looking at minorities to help with the construction. I have people in mind. I am willing and am open to any recommendations that you all can provide to us as well.
Yeah.
Marcin and I have been talking about how we can try to help some of the people in the community by allowing them to come in and learn masonry, or learn how, learn electrical, learn plumbing, doing somewhat of apprenticeships, so we're willing to and open to work with anybody in the community. And that was,
that's
sorry.
good to hear, and as evidenced by this Zoom here, we have a lot of experience, folks who live and have expertise in the community. I was great to see the landscaping experience and expertise, the architectural expertise that exists in the community. So please, reach out to them, and also share your information with our office, because we're often asked about, local entrepreneurs and business owners, and I know that we have so many in the community, but we try and encourage folks to let us know, so that we, when we're asked, can pass your name, your company along to developers such as this.
Yeah, and you definitely can email me. I'm pilot.lisa@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat.
Great.
Mhm.
And then I just briefly, before we allow Ms. Robinson and Ms. Bond to close, just want to talk to you about a idea that we've socialized with QCDC before, but something that we've also, the mayor's office now wants to work with us on, but is really building our own community. So as there are developers who own private lots in our community, the city owns the majority of them. And so what we've socialized is to sell those lots to a nonprofit like QCDC, wink, wink, if they're still thinking about this. But the mayor's office is on board and wants to be involved in this. And then to have that nonprofit then hire construction crews and companies from the community to build for us. And then, by the way, if we build, say, a 50-unit building, we would take the profit and keep that in our community, meaning to turn that over and then build another building or some other homes or what have you. And so we can employ people, we can increase small businesses' wealth by building their own buildings. We're starting probably on 43rd Street, just east of Sip and Savor there. And there's a little lot right west of Sip and Savor. We're going to sell that to a small business owner who currently rents, but you all probably know them, very recognized in the community, but they're renting at a cost that they could own with, right? What they pay in rent, they could pay in mortgage. And so we're going to help them get that building up and going, and that's what we want to do to kind of build wealth in our own community. And so that's been something that we've been talking about. We got a little side swiped by something called COVID, but we're back thinking strategically, and so that's something I just wanted to share with all of you, and we hope that takes off. And like I said, the mayor's office is trying to get us some seed money for that so that we can get started and really just build our own community. And so will developers continue to build on their private lots? Certainly, but we hope that this will become not only more of the norm, but also a pilot for the rest of the city to do as well. Okay, is it Miss Robinson or Miss Bond who's next? Probably Miss Robinson.
Robinson,
Let
because
Miss
she is
Bond.
in town, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, Miss Pilot. I really just wanted to direct this to you, and it was good to know about your development. Full transparency, I see myself as part of that emerging minority development group that the alderman spoke about.
Amen.
So I really just wanted to give a constructive comment, and I hope it'll be taken that way. I was on this presentation from the beginning, but it really wasn't until just these last few moments that I had a sense of, what is the name of this development team? Because we were presenting it as, right away development, I had the impression that this was, kind of a small startup, foreign, needed somebody to help translate, familiarizing themselves with the community. So when we then heard that this is a, experienced, committed developer who has done 43rd and Drexel, 43rd and Langley, 43rd and Berkeley, 43rd and Forestville. This is really I want to leave this presentation understanding that this is a committed developer who's presenting 2 developments tonight, who's planning to do more. I want to know who is this development company? Are they a development and management company? I don't think that's ever been answered.
Great
and
development.
So I don't know the name. I did not have a sense of just, how much commitment they have and how much more they're looking for. So I just
when you say how much more they're looking for, I mean, he's a developer.
I'm saying, meaning I'm saying it in a positive way. The alderman has said they want to do more. So this is a developer who really
who's
is
bringing his own money to this community.
Yes, and that's to be celebrated.
Absolutely.
There's no reason to be defensive about it. That's to be celebrated. That's somebody who said, I see these vacant lots. I want to come here. And not only I want to, but they're really saying, I have been here. I have already done 5. I'm presenting 2. Hope to do more. And I think that what they're saying tonight, and now let me close on this real quick. I think that what they're saying tonight is and correct me if I'm wrong, this is actually our first mixed use development in this 43rd Street area.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I didn't get a sense of that till the very end.
Absolutely. That is correct. Everything you said.
And I apologize. I came in 10 minutes late. And so I didn't know what was shared up front, but appreciate you bringing that. I do want to kind of level set though. And Not much of a politician because I just always say what's on my mind and I'm pretty frank. So I just don't have that skill set yet. But it's not all altruistic. You know, he's making money in the community. So I do want to say that, and I'll be quite frank. I didn't want to have anything to do with him, and he knows that. Which is probably why he brought on Miss Pilot, and because I don't feel he did right by the community in the beginning. We had a sit down. These are lots he owns. There's nothing I can do about that. He owns those lots. But I have told him that it will be a serious problem if he doesn't come correct. And so he's going back, trying to do right by some developments they've had some issues with. I'm holding him to that and to the fire. And I have very high standards for our community. I just want you to know that. It may take a little bit longer, but we shut down the dollar lot program in our community. Why? Because most of the lots were being taken up by developers who already own the lot next to the lot they were trying to get. And they're just, again, taking all our resources out of our community. We need to keep our resources in our community. And that's why, thought long and hard about how we can do that. And I think we have some good partners in the table in order to do that. So Mr. Orpik, has the right to make money, and people are going to make money and do whatever you allow them to do. That's just what's going to happen. But that's not going to happen on my watch. I just will tell you, it will be just a knockout, drag down fight. But we've talked. Mr. Orpik has picked up Ms. Pilot, who is also very concerned about what comes in our community and is prideful about and lives in our community. And so, all of these comments are not going unheard. We'll proceed forward and try and do better. But I have always told developers, don't fear the community. Take what they're saying, use it to better what you're doing. You can make more money. People will invite you back in their home if you treat them right. So I just want to say that I'm sorry, I'm getting a little passionate, but I'm passionate about our community. I will not allow folks to just come in our community. But I do not look good in orange or black or stripes. And so I can only do what I can do within my legal means. I just want to let you know that. But I will do everything within my legal means to make sure that our community is respected.
We
So the
certainly
name is Orpik Development, Lisa?
It's DOM.
It's DOM Development, okay.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And so when you talked about the 43rd and Drexel and all the other things on 43rd, have those residents and owners been happy with the development?
There's one in particular, Lisa, she's on the thread as well. And Lisa has had a problem that we've been trying to address. I've even had her call the building inspector, told them, call them, have them come on out so we can figure out what the issue is. I'm just waiting for her to respond. That's the only one who we've had a problem with at this.
No. That's not the only one. That's the only one you still have a problem with, but you have gone back to fix those problems, which I appreciate. And yes, Ms. Pickens has the right to be very picky about her biggest investment.
Absolutely. And I'm in agreement with that.
But he's committed to getting it right. And so, that's where we are now. So and as I
told her before, I've reached out to her about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I'm asking her again, reach out again. Let's sit down. Let's talk about whatever your issues are. Right. I'm here to address them. Matter of fact, I'm writing back of her. Literally have asked her, hey, I live in my building, the building that I built. So when you talk about beautifying this community and living in this community, that's what I've been trying to do for about 25 years.
No, your reputation proceeds.
Is there a website that you can put in the chat? I'd like to learn more about them. Is there a website you can put in the chat?
DomPropertiesinc.com.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback off of what the Alderman said. which is, I'm holding Marston to the fire too. I'm like, that's why I'm a part of this. I want this community to be built up, just like Lincoln Park, just like any other area. I'm a Hyde Parker all my life. Grew up in Hyde Park, but I moved this way because my businesses brought me this way. I was a current exchange owner for 25 years. And so I went from that into building buildings and buying the stores, buying the buildings my current exchanges were in. And 39th Cottage was my first one.
Yeah.
Listen, knows.
So
I was just, yeah.
I want to interrupt really quickly because I want to get to Ms. Bond, but then Ms. Pilot, and I see Mr. Wardlaw on the Zoom. I want you to also talk about your projects that are coming on Cottage as well, if you can.
Absolutely.
Within 2 minutes each. But Ms. Bond, will you close us with your last questions, and then we'll go back to share with you some of the other projects that are coming down.
Absolutely.
Cottage as well.
Well, many people during the pandemic have lost their jobs, and now they normally had a 9-to-5 job. They have no job and they become entrepreneurs. So I'm wondering, would your development offer some type of incentive to the new entrepreneurs in our area or outside our area? An incentive, maybe a rent incentive, so that they can rent that retail space. So maybe rental free.
Absolutely. I've always done that, right? I have Surfs Up, who's in my building. I have Guaranteed Rate that is in my building. And interesting enough, I had actually hired a guy who handles all of commercial to bring commercial tenants to here. It's how I found Guaranteed Rate. Interesting enough. So to answer your question, that's a yes. Okay. I'm in the process. I bought another building down on 45th and Cottage that I don't know if you know Monica Haslip, who will be my partner on this deal. 4528 Cottage Grove. We purchased a warehouse that we're about to turn into an amazing project with the blessing of the alderman. Thank you very much once again. And so we will definitely introduce it to the community. And we hope that you like it. It's beautiful. I mean, I wish I could show a rendering now. I have one, but we'll have another one next week that we can present to you guys, but you'll enjoy it. It's more commercial spaces. It's literally, 4528 Cottage Grove. So yes.
Thank you. And many people also are renting storefronts for event spaces. Could you kind of keep that something that we may not want in the community? Because a lot of times people rent a retail space and they'll use it just for events.
No, I get that. So interesting enough, 4528, we are considering putting a rental facility up top with Nona Hendricks. Well, I don't want to talk about exactly what's happening, but you'll enjoy it. So I understand your position and your point, and we are not doing that. That's not something that we're doing.
Thank
okay.
You.
You're very welcome.
More traffic into the area.
Right.
Okay.
I understand.
And also, I know you said it was a private incentive that you all did, but did you get any tax breaks from the city to construct this new development?
Not one. And neither did I get one 25 years ago when I built this building.
Okay.
Not one.
They've been given, they have no consideration. That's why it's as of right. If they were given something from the city, then it would not be that. Then there would be certain stipulations around affordability, around MBWB, around, all of those types of things. But there isn't, it's a private development. Although I do appreciate now that he is listening to us and understands what being a part of the community means.
Especially working in this community. And he already knows how I feel about that, Yep. And he has to do quality work and bring quality work.
Okay. And one other thing about the architectural look of the building, most people think it just looks kind of drab and not fitting in with the other architectural for that historic community. Is there any way that you guys can go back and just look at the design to just enhance it a little bit?
Well, that is a question that I don't know. I don't think Marston is on the call still, because he did text me and said he had to go pick up his son. But there was another guy on the first thread on Nextdoor who I was communicating with, who said he was an architect as well. I don't know if that is possible, right? What I can tell you is I will go back to him and I will explain to him your concerns about the beautification of you're talking about the facade, the front of the building.
Yeah.
I will address that with him again and see what I can do, okay?
And I will say that it wasn't all brick all the way around before, and so
That's right.
I said, I can only encourage, but I encourage you to. But I see there are folks, who keep talking about the aesthetics. I'd like to at least get a better rendering to see what that is, and to see if perhaps one of our architects can work with theirs, just to kind of see how we could enhance that, Ms. Pilot, if we can.
You know what?
Because it won't be about cost,
Right.
because like I said, it's the brick, the hardy board, it all costs the same. The reason people usually put hardy board sides is for the labor. So I just to understand, it costs more to lay bricks than it costs to lay the hardy board, but the cost of the material and the quality is about the same. The mixture sometimes throws people off. I'm not an architect, but like I said, I have high standards of what I think looks nice, but it's still my opinion. I felt it looked fine, but I think I hear that and I've heard that. So let's see if we can't bring up a more
three-dimensional, like
yeah,
a three-dimensional.
to kind of see and to see
Absolutely.
how it looks, within the landscape of the community.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let Mr. Wardlow close with their project that they're doing on Cottage. You got 2 minutes, Mr. Wardlow, if you can just summarize what you're doing. And then I appreciate everybody coming out. I know I hope the developer appreciates your comments. I think they've been very good. And so, thank you for coming out and weighing in. I appreciate that. And yeah, so I'm gonna let him in and then quickly end. I hear my family in the back calling me for dinner. I hope y'all are calling, getting some dinner too. But so go ahead, Mr. Wardlow. Don't keep me from my food too long.
Thank you, Alderman King. I was totally not expecting this. I was really enjoying the conversation with everyone and really taking it all in. But I do appreciate this opportunity. I'm a part of a group with Harry Lennox, the Hollywood star, and Keith Giles, the renowned Chicago developer. And we're working on, 5 Heartbeats, Matrix, Superman, Blacklist. I can go on and on. We don't have time for that. But we bought the Marshall Fields. Most people don't know, it was an old Marshall Fields warehouse, the sister building to Briar Street Theater on Cottage Grove, right south of you, Ms. Pilot. And we're turning that into a performing arts theater where we're going to be doing live shows. Congo Square Theater is going to be one of the residents. But we're doing more than that. We're adding to that. We're building artist housing. Want to bring a live venue, live music, palm restaurant type ambiance. And we're doing a lot more than that I can't even really at this point say, but I got to tell you, I'm looking so much forward to showing you a presentation that's going to blow your socks off, like you're watching a MGM, introduction to something, because this is coming to Bronzeville and it's way overdue. It's been 100 years since Jim Knight and those guys were putting together venues like the Savoy Ballroom and the Regal Theater. And we were hosting folks like Langston Hughes and Muddy Waters and Lena Horne. And, we've got to bring back that culture and we got to celebrate that legacy that Bronzeville in particular in this city holds. And everybody in the whole country knows it. And it's coming back to Cottage Grove, it's coming back to 43rd, it's coming back to our neighborhood, and it's going to be classy. And I live right here on Lake Park. So I feel everything you're saying about the parking to the outside traffic and the quality of the venues that are coming here. So I'm just going to say it. I'm going to let everybody go because I've been on this call from the beginning too, that it's coming. And I look forward to this presentation with all of you. I anticipate it's probably going to be about 500 people on that call because it's really big. And I'm really excited. And I look forward to talking to you guys. So.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Wardlaw. That sounds exciting.
Well,
Sure
thank
does.
you for that. Thank you for everybody, again, joining. And, you know, the tough questions are good. It's only going to make our community better. So, you know, keep it up. I'm not going to say hold my feet to the fire because y'all do, no matter what.
You're
But
doing a great
continue-
job, Alderman. Thank you
Continue to
very
do
much.
that. And, but don't burn my feet. I got to have something to walk on. But no, thank you, everybody. And we'll be back in touch soon. So
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
evening.
Thank you, bye.